Now, by most counts, there are 9 serious contenders right now for the Republican presidential nomination, although not all of them actually are running at this point.
Yes, of those 9, who has the best shot of winning? Well, joining us is someone who always has an opinion. That's why we have her here this morning, conservative commentator Ann Coulter, whose latest book is Demonic: How the Liberal Mob is Endangering America. Go get
Morning,
it.
Ann.
Go get it. Go read it. We've got Ann with us here this morning. Good to have you with us here, Ann, this morning. And let's talk about President Obama right now, because he is vulnerable, if you were to look at the numbers. He's vulnerable in a lot of areas, the economy, obviously, first and foremost. Any of the 9 that's out there right now, does anybody have a legitimate shot at actually beating this president at this point?
I tend to think at this point the economy is so bad, and Michael Barone just had an article saying that recently the prior House of Representatives election tends to predict the presidential election, which would not bode well for President Obama either. But unless he changes his policies, I don't see a major change in the economy. So this is why I think Republicans are so obsessed with getting the right candidate, because I think they have a really good chance despite the advantages of incumbency.
But it's the right candidate out there. I mean, who has drummed up enough interest out there for the Republican Party that they could actually beat the incumbent?
Well, obviously, my love, Chris Christie. We're still waiting for him to announce.
But he's not official yet, and he says
yes, it's
no.
going to be so exciting when he announces. Short of Chris Christie, I think it's probably going to be Romney, who's a good candidate, has raised a lot of money, is a serious candidate, and is very good on the economy, which I think is going to be the biggest issue. But the reason people are so obsessed with all the other candidates, and it's going to keep looking like a horse race, in my opinion, it will probably be Romney if Christie doesn't jump in. Is that Republicans are desperate to get the right candidate and not make the mistake of getting another McCain.
Is it going to be possible, though, to get widespread Republican support for a candidate like Romney when, look at what's happening to Boehner right now in terms of trying to get everyone to come together on a debt deal? He's being perceived as the old guard, and there's this new guard that is trying to take over.
Boehner has actually, I think, been surprisingly good. Surprising for me. I didn't think he was as good as he has been recently, and they are pretty much coming together. I mean, these are members of Congress who have to run for re-election or represent the interests that they were voted in to represent. But yes, I do think Republicans will come together no matter how bitter the primary fight is, because they just really want to get Obama out and get the economy going again.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you, Michelle Bachmann, what does she do for you?
Well, I love her. I think she's very articulate and bright and has done a lot. And yet, I don't think you can run from the House. I mean, the last House member who became president was James Garfield, and he had a lot of executive experience as a colonel in the Civil War.
Yeah, what do you make of the whole migraine story, the kind of the headliner from last week?
I hate to claim sexism, so I will claim conservative sexism. It does seem like kind of a minor story, considering 30 million Americans suffer from migraines, and they managed to let Kennedy's drug use stay hidden up, and so on and so forth. But especially because she's a House member. She's fantastic. I like having her in the race, but I think it's a long shot because she's from the House.
Switching gears to the story about David Wu, this representative who's now accused of inappropriate conduct with a female. What do you think about that? I mean, he's saying that he is not stepping down, but he's also not running for re-election. Should he step down?
It seems like a very embarrassing story, though. Oddly enough, I think the Democrats might be happy to have this scandal so they can stop being forced to give us their plan for the budget. Can we just get off the budget? Let's talk about
coming
our
off the
scandal.
Anthony Weiner scandal, though, and I think do we have the picture of David Wu? I mean, for no other
Please have
reason
the
than
picture.
to run this picture. It's like, good heavens. You can't help but wonder why would you have someone?
Yeah, and that was sent around, I guess, just before the campaign or after the campaign. A lot of his staff resigned, and he was sending this to his staffers and sending out weird emails at some point in time. And now I'm starting to wonder if that was to cover for the sexual harassment case that was coming, or sexual assault case, I guess it is.
Well, we'll see what happens here. And thanks so much for coming in.
Thank
Good
you.
to talk with you once again, Ann Coulter.